Okay, so we've all had them right. Those kind of like, those light bulb moments where you're like, this is it. This is my $1 million idea.
Yeah.
But the thing is, turning that like initial spark, into an actual like, thriving business, it's not exactly a straight line, is it?
No, not really. I always think it's more like one of those jungle gyms, with all the twists and turns and stuff you don't expect.
Totally. And that's what we're going to be like tackling today. We're going to be talking about how to navigate that whole jungle gym thing, how to really transform like a raw idea into a business concept that actually works. And lucky for us, we've got a really insightful excerpt from a text all about business development. It's going to be our guide for this deep dive. So by the time we wrap this up, you're going to have a framework for like checking out your own ideas. And that goes whether you're like, I don't know, dreaming up some brand new invention or just finding a fresh take on something that's already out there.
Yeah. And one thing I really liked about this source is that it really makes it clear that both of those paths are legit. Like you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes the best ideas are just improving on something that's already out there.
Right. Like think about Coca-Cola.
Hmm.
It started out as like a medicinal syrup. Can you believe that?
Wild, right?
It really blows my mind to think that something so like, I don't know, basic and everywhere now started out so, well, kind of strange if you think about it.
Totally. It shows you that even a simple idea can become something huge.
Mm.
But you need more than just a good idea, you know what I mean, to make it really work.
Oh, absolutely. So let's unpack this a bit, shall we? This source lays out 6 different ways to get those idea sparks going. And what struck me is how, like, down to earth they are. Like one of them is just listening to people, like tuning into those little everyday things people get frustrated with or things they wish existed.
It's incredibly how many good business ideas come from just like paying attention to what people are struggling with.
Right. It reminds me of this friend of mine. She was always complaining about how there weren't any good laptop bags for women. Like ones that were stylish but still practical. She was practically handing me a business idea.
Ah,
And that's where the source's point about finding a gap in the market comes in.
that's key, yeah. Trying to break into a market that's already like super crowded is tough. You just blend in.
Yeah.
It's way better to find your own little niche, your own space where you can really stand out.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot is huge. And the source has this case study about this guy, Christopher Liu. He's got this furniture company called CLU Living, and it's a perfect example. He realized there was this need for stylish furniture that would work in smaller spaces, and he just went for it.
Christopher's a great example of someone who took those idea techniques seriously. Like, he didn't just look at his competitors' websites. He dove into online reviews, he read forum discussions, really trying to understand what people liked and what was missing. That's how he figured out what made his idea special. Furniture that was both good-looking and, like, super space efficient.
And that focus on like, doing more with less, with making things multifunctional and having clever storage. It's so smart, especially these days when people are living in smaller spaces, tiny houses, city apartments, even people who just want to like declutter. He's tapped into something a lot of people want, living smarter, not necessarily bigger.
Totally. And it's not just about the product itself. The source also highlights something that's often forgotten: taking care of your customers.
Hmm.
Christopher actually says, quote, "It's not just about selling a piece of furniture. It's about understanding the client's needs and providing solutions that truly enhance their lives."
That's a powerful statement. It's not just about the transaction. It's about building a connection. I bet that's a big reason his business is so successful.
For sure. And this all goes back to what the source talks about with the connection between your own personal motivation and your business concept. You can feel Christopher's passion in every part of his company.
Okay, so here's what I want to know. How do you stop someone from stealing your awesome idea? Like you've put all this work into it, and then someone just comes along and copies it. How do you protect it?
That's a huge concern. And that's
Right.
where protecting your intellectual property comes in. And no worries, the source has got us covered there too. It breaks down 5 main ways to protect your ideas: trademarks, patents, copyright, design rights, and domain names.
All right. Hit me with that IP knowledge. I mean, we've all heard those terms, but sometimes it feels like, I don't know, a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. What do they actually mean in the real world?
So let's start with trademarks, okay? Trademarks are those symbols that everybody recognizes, right? Like the Nike swoosh or the Apple logo. They're legally protected, which means only you get to use them for your products.
So it's like you're marking your territory. You're saying, hey, this is mine.
Exactly. Now, patents are a bit different. They protect the actual way something works. like a new invention. Think about, I don't know, some super cool new gadget or a new medical device that saves lives. A patent means only the inventor gets to use it, sell it, or let other people use it for a certain amount of time.
Got it. So trademarks are for branding and patents are for inventions. What about copyright? Isn't that for like music and books and movies?
You got it. Copyright protects the actual creative work itself, whether it's a song you can't get out of your head, a book everyone's talking about, or a movie that blows you away. It protects that specific creation.
Okay, so we've got trademarks, patents, and copyright. What about design rights? What do they cover?
Design rights protect how something looks, like the shape of a chair or the pattern on a dress. It's all about protecting the aesthetic parts of a product that make it stand out.
So it's kind of like a trademark, but instead of a name or logo, it's the way the product actually looks and feels that's protected.
That's a great way to put it. And finally, we've got domain names. That's basically your address on the internet. It's like claiming your own little spot in the digital world so no one else can use it.
Okay, I'm feeling a lot better about this whole intellectual property thing. It's like having a whole toolkit to protect my creative stuff. But I am curious, how does this apply to Christopher Liu and his furniture designs? Like, would he use trademarks for his logo, design rights for how the furniture looks, or maybe even patents for specific parts of how it works?
Ooh, good question. That really highlights something important. A lot of times it's not about choosing just one type of protection. It's about using a bunch of them together, like different layers of security.
Ah, like having multiple locks on your front door. I like that. But before we go full on security mode, can we go back to something you mentioned earlier about how your personal motivation ties into your business idea? I'm curious to hear more about that, outside of just the textbook definition.
Yeah, totally. That's a huge piece of the puzzle. Look at Christopher Liu again. His passion for design, his wanting to make furniture that makes people's lives better, it just comes through. It's not
Right.
just a job for him. It's something he really believes in that connects with people.
It's like that whole do what you love thing, right?
Yeah,
It's not just about making money, it's about finding that thing that you're passionate about and making it your business.
exactly. And when you find that, it's magic. But how do you actually get there? How do you go from just an idea to an actual business plan?
That is the million-dollar question. But hey, lucky for us, the source goes into that too. It gets into how to actually turn a raw idea into a business concept that can work. And it starts with one of my favorite things, market research.
Market research? Oh, yeah. It's like getting a superpower. You can see into the minds of your future customers.
Okay, I'm already sold. Market research, here we come. But let's save that for part two, shall we? We've covered a ton already today, from coming up with ideas to understanding intellectual property.
This has been a great start, and in the next part, we'll keep going. We'll dive into that market research stuff and feasibility studies, too. So if you're ready to take your idea and turn it into a real plan, stick around.
All right, so we're back. Last time we got those big ideas flowing and even learned how to keep them safe, but now I'm kind of itching to get our hands dirty and see if these ideas can actually hack it in the real world.
Yeah, this is where we see what our ideas are really made of, right?
Totally.
Got to move from that, initial excitement to, a more realistic view of what's possible.
Hmm.
And our source dives right into that with market research and feasibility studies.
Okay, so it's like taking the idea for a test drive, right? Before we invest a ton of time and money, I'm all for avoiding those entrepreneurial crashes.
Exactly. Think of market research, like mapping the terrain. We got to figure out, who are our potential customers? What are their pain points? What are they already using and what's missing?
So instead of just assuming we know what people want, we actually go out and ask them.
Exactly.
Sign me up.
And we go beyond just asking, too. We observe, we analyze trends, we really try to understand their world.
Mm-hmm.
And then feasibility studies, that's what the practicality check comes in.
Yeah.
Can we actually get the materials we need? Will we be able to make a profit? Can we even reach those customers we're targeting?
That's like a reality check, right? Making sure the idea can walk before we try to make it run a marathon.
Precisely. And there's another piece here, financials. Our source brings up break-even analysis.
Break-even analysis, okay. Sounds intriguing, but also kind of I don't know, intimidating, all that financial stuff. Can you break it down for me? Someone who hasn't exactly mastered business finances yet.
Sure. So imagine you've got this amazing product, right? But each one costs you money to make. Plus, there are other costs, like marketing, maybe rent for your space. A break-even analysis helps you figure out how many you need to sell to cover all those costs. So you're not losing money anymore.
So it's not just about making sales, it's about making enough to like keep the lights on.
You got it. It's about being in the black, not the red. And to do that, you got to know your costs, inside and out. The source talks about fixed costs. Those are things that stay the same no matter how much you make, like rent. And then there are variable costs. Those change depending on how much you're producing, like raw materials.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all of this connects. Market research tells you what people want, feasibility studies tell you if it's doable, and then the break-even analysis helps you make sure it actually makes financial sense, like a roadmap.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, this framework works for pretty much anything. Tech startup, bakery, whatever. It's adaptable.
This is making me feel way more confident about, actually making my idea real. But now I'm wondering, how do you get the word out? How do you go from having a solid business concept to actually getting customers and making those sales?
Ah, you're thinking like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Now we're talking marketing. This is where we use all that market research we did and actually connect with our ideal customer.
All right, let's get strategic. I'm ready to persuade. Turn those potential customers into like raving fans. Where do we even begin? There's so much you can do.
It can be overwhelming for sure, but that's why a plan is so important. Remember all that stuff we learned about our target market, their needs, what they like, where they hang out? That's our guide.
So it's not just about like shouting our message from the rooftops. It's more about being targeted.
Exactly. The source points out that some of the older methods, like print ads and TV commercials, they still work, especially for reaching certain groups. But, you know, these days you got to think digital. Online marketing is huge.
All right, let's go digital. Social media, SEO, all that. It's like a whole orchestra of tools.
It is. Yeah. And the best part is online marketing has made things more fair.
Yeah.
Businesses of all sizes can use it. You don't need a ton of money to create good content, build a community, and get customers online.
I love that. It's like marketing for everyone. But with so many options, how do you choose? You don't want to do too much and then end up being just okay at everything.
That's where a good marketing plan comes in. You got to define your goals, know your audience, and then pick the platforms and strategies that work best for your business.
So be intentional. Don't just throw stuff out there and see what sticks.
Exactly. And as we're building our marketing plan, there's something else we got to think about. Branding.
Oh, branding. I know it's important, but it can feel a little, I don't know, vague. What does it actually mean to build a strong brand? Is it just about having a cool logo?
A good logo helps, but it goes deeper than that.
Mm.
Think of it as your business's personality. It's your story, the feelings you evoke, your values.
Like what makes your business unique?
Right.
What makes it stand out and connect with people?
Yeah. And it's not just about visuals or words. It's about everything the customer experiences, your website, social media, how your employees treat people, all of it.
So it's all got to be consistent, like a unified identity.
Exactly. And that consistency builds trust. When customers feel like they get you, like they know what you stand for, they'll choose you, even if you're a little more expensive.
It's like that feeling you get when you go to your favorite coffee shop, right? The smell, the friendly baristas, the vibe. It's an experience.
Perfect analogy. And remember, building a brand is a journey, not a destination. You're always refining, adapting, staying true to who you are.
Okay, this has been amazing. We've gone from market research and feasibility studies to marketing and branding. We're like uncovering the secrets to business success.
No secret formula.
Yeah.
But you're right, we've covered a lot of key ingredients. But hold on, we're not quite done yet. There are a few more pieces to this puzzle.
Ooh, I'm on the edge of my seat. What else is coming up in part 3?
In the final part of our deep dive, we'll be tackling some of the less exciting but super important parts of starting a business. Choosing the right legal structure, figuring out permits and regulations, and the often underestimated power of a great team.
I'm already intrigued. Sounds like we're going to demystify all those behind-the-scenes things that are so important for building a business that lasts. Can't wait. We're back for like the final stretch, our deep dive into building a business. And I got to say, I feel like we've learned so much already. It's been a wild ride. From brainstorming ideas to marketing and branding, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it really has been. But just like with any big adventure, there are some essential things we got to take care of before we can really reach the summit.
I like that. Base camp essentials. Okay, I'm ready. What are we tackling today?
Today, we're going to dive into some of the, I guess you could say less glamorous, but super important parts of starting a business. It's all about laying a solid foundation, something that can, support your dreams and survive all the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur.
A solid foundation. That's what we want. Okay, let's build this thing. Where do we begin?
Let's start with figuring out the right legal structure for your business.
Yeah.
I know, not exactly the most exciting topic, but trust me, getting this right from the start is crucial.
Okay, I'm ready to get down to business, literally. So, break it down for me. What are the big things to think about when choosing a legal structure?
It's all about finding the right fit, you know, for your specific business and your goals. Are you going solo, like a sole proprietor, teaming up with someone, a partnership, or maybe forming an LLC? Each one has its own pros and cons, especially when it comes to things like liability, taxes, even how you get funding.
I'm starting to see why this is so important. It's not just picking a random name, it's about understanding, like, the real legal and financial stuff that comes with each option. But honestly, all that legal stuff can be pretty overwhelming. What advice would you give someone who's just starting out and feels a bit lost with all that?
Totally get it. It's a common feeling. You're definitely not alone. The good news is there's help out there. The Small Business Administration, the SBA, they're a great resource. They have free counseling and workshops. They can really help you understand the legal stuff for your specific industry and where you're located.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's like having a guide to help you through the legal jungle, right? I
Yeah.
like that. And speaking of jungles, what about all those permits and licenses and regulations that businesses need to follow? It can feel like a minefield out there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It can be daunting. But again, the SBA can help. They can point you in the right direction, help you figure out which permits and licenses you need. And don't underestimate just doing your own research, too. Lots of government websites have tons of info on business regulations.
So be proactive, stay informed, makes sense. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about something that's often called the heart of a successful business, the team.
The team. This is one of my favorite parts. Building a strong team is like putting together a group of superheroes, each with their own unique powers, ready to conquer any challenge.
Love that. Like the Avengers, but for business. But seriously, I've always believed that teamwork makes the dream work. It's all about bringing together people with different strengths and weaknesses, so they complement each other. But finding those awesome people, that's just the first step, right?
Yep.
How do you create an environment where everyone can, do their best work and work together effectively?
That's where good leadership comes in. It's about creating a culture where everyone feels comfortable speaking their mind, where there's trust and respect, setting clear expectations, giving people the power to take ownership, and celebrating wins, big and small.
So it's not about being a boss, it's about creating a team where everyone feels valued and can contribute their best, right? But even with the best team, I imagine there will still be conflicts sometimes. How do you deal with those,
Yeah.
especially in the world of startups where things are always moving so fast?
Conflict is normal, and it's not always bad. Sometimes it can even lead to new ideas or better decisions. The key is to make sure everyone feels safe to share their thoughts and concerns.
So create a space where people can disagree, challenge ideas, but always do it respectfully, right? With the goal of finding the best solution for everyone.
Exactly. And you, as the leader, you're there to guide the conversation, make sure everyone feels heard, and help the team find a resolution that works for everyone.
Wow, this has been eye-opening. We've covered so much in this deep dive. Brainstorming, the legal and structural stuff, building a team. It's like we've unlocked the secrets to success.
I wouldn't say secrets exactly, but we've definitely covered a lot of the essential pieces.
It's been amazing. I feel so much more prepared to tackle this whole entrepreneurship thing.
It's been a pleasure, and remember, starting a business is a journey, not a race. There will be bumps along the way. But with a good plan, a tough mindset, and a passionate team, you can make your dreams a reality.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has sparked something in you, given you the tools and confidence to go after your own business dreams. The world needs your ideas, so go out there, make a difference, and never stop exploring the incredible world of business.